I'm going to call up the team that we work with to come up for a panel presentation. This panel presentation, come on up as I'm speaking, please, Lorelei, Carl, and Alain. While they're coming up, what I want to say to you is, again, I think yesterday when some of my opening remarks were, nothing happens without a team, right? So you need people, that are subject matter experts in their area, that know how to do their job and that know how to get things done in terms of, delivering on our objectives for MICA. So this is the team that you have here. There's other team members. There's Gia, and there's also Celine in the back. And okay, just wondering where you're going. Good. Okay.
I just want to say, This is the team that you need to be engaging with, much more than you do. Not only are they here to help you with the project that you're actually working on, but to help you connect to all the other people in the network. The principal function of the network is to join all of you to one another in a business format. So what Charles was saying about not being just isolated on your own thing, but because when you broaden out to engage with the other members of the network, that creates a better solution for the industry. And it makes a more acceptable solution for the industry to do that. So this is the team. They're now gelling very, very well. It's very impressive to see what they do on a daily basis. I get to see that, but you don't. So you just have to take my word for it. That this is actually the engine of the machine that we have here. And Charles is the ringleader of the whole piece. So
the gang leader.
The gang leader, you could say. Yes. And the other thing that we're trying to do as SEMI is find other solutions in other industries that we know the mining industry could use. And while you're engaging in other aspects of your business and in other conferences, you're going to come across other technologies that you think that could have an application. And if you bring that back to us, then we can find the best people within the network to engage with that other sector and that other piece of technology to accelerate the rate at which innovation happens within the mining sector. There's innovation happening everywhere, and we can't get our fingers into all of it individually, so we need you also to help us to identify the other pieces of the puzzle that will move the whole enterprise forward faster. These are the guys to talk to. I'm not going to say any more. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Douglas. I was wondering what he was doing there for a second. Thank you, Douglas. Appreciate you saying those words. Okay, so to the team. What I'm going to do is ask you two questions initially. Number one question is, introduce yourself and tell the audience the one thing you love the best about your job. So let's maybe do a rapid answer for that. Go ahead, Lorelei.
Sure. So I'd say there's a lot of things I love about my job, but I primarily support the mining company members and also help to recruit them. So I work with Alain, Kyle, Gia, Celine, Douglas, and Chamarai on helping to deliver the benefits from a network approach. So that is my role at the company. And I think what I love most is really learning about, I think, the opportunity for greater collaboration within the mining companies. It's really interesting seeing how our relationship is not only maturing with them, but just deepening our understanding on what are the gaps and where do we fit. So that what the network found is does a really good job is we have modular resources that we can pull from. So we don't know everything, but we have a network approach we can pull from experts to help mining companies solve their problems. So it's great always learning of how we can make a stronger impact when it comes to innovation, accelerating even the front-end evaluation process, helping the mining companies solve market needs, and really communicating that to our members.
Okay, awesome. Alain.
Thank you. My job is to reduce distance between people and opportunities around the world.
The right people. The right people.
And what do you love most about it?
Thanks, Scott.
Well, I didn't want to be too long. No, what I like most is seeing that those companies thrive and succeed. And that's part of my paycheck.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So Kyle McCall, Director of Commercialization Services and Member Relations. I have the pleasure of working with the ultimate recipients that have received funding from the MICA funding program, and then also the broader MICA network community of SMEs. And my favorite part about what I do is actually working with the companies, understanding your solutions, how your technology is going to impact the sector, how it's going to impact mining to make it more sustainable, greener, better, faster, stronger, more efficient, and productive. And I love getting into the business plans and understanding the technology, what your value proposition is, and all that other kind of good stuff. If you are one of the 50 URs, I challenge you. Ask me what our value proposition is. I actually really pride myself on understanding kind of all 50 of those technologies. So I'm happy to be quizzed every now and then to make sure that when we're at events like this, we also know what your value proposition is, so we can articulate it and say, hey, you know what? They're not here today, but there's this company that we've been working with, and I think what you've articulated here, we can make a connection there, something valuable that we can do for you. So love understanding the technologies and how we can make those connections.
What is UR?
Ultimate recipient.
And who are they?
I'm moderating, Alan. Ultimate recipient, yes, the people that we're funding. So Kyle, just gonna build up on that value proposition piece. So typically, well, not typically, I guess most of the time we get this question from our SME members. They say, can you introduce me to a mining company? Yeah, right? So Kyle, can you just maybe comment about that? And what are some of maybe 3 things that you think companies need to be equipped to have in front of them before they even ask us that question?
Well, I think the first thing is we want to know you, right? Before we expend any kind of that social capital that we work very hard to kind of cultivate. You know, Chamurai and Lorelei, they work very hard to work with those mining companies to make sure that they understand their challenges and that we're putting the right solutions in front of them. So there needs to be first, you know, we need to understand what those problems and challenges are, and that when you come knocking on our door to say, hey, I want to be connected with XYZ, that we know who you are. Because we might, you know, we might want to spend a little bit more time like, okay, this is how you position yourself. This is what we've heard from the market. These are the kinds of things you need to think about when you're articulating your value proposition to this particular mine site. So I think that there's, I mean, we don't want to be gatekeepers in any kind of way, but we also want to be conscious of making sure that we're here to help you put your best foot forward, right? As someone knocking on that door trying to sell a new technology or solution to a mining company.
Awesome, thank you for that. And again, just maybe to build up on that, you know, knocking on the door to a mining company. So Lorelei, we have 7 mining company members right now: Glencore, Teck, BHP, Nutrien, IAMGold, New Gold, and
Vale.
Vale. Is Vale in the house? Okay, in Vale. So these companies, you know, what do you think is the differences between how they approach innovation and how they want to be approached? Can you maybe just mention maybe 2 or 3 things that you think differentiate the companies in their approach to how they receive innovation and how they kind of process innovation?
Yeah, so I would kind of start with the structure. So we have companies where they have a single asset, companies that have several assets that they're managing globally. So as kind of the first step, we really need to understand the structure. Is there a dedicated innovation team? Is it more operationally focused? Because if we don't have that information, it's harder to really bring in the technologies and also just understand what the priorities are for the company. So some companies, they have an R&D division right under the innovation stream. There's radical innovation that they look at, then there's business improvement or continuous improvement. So we need to understand if that is the structure of the mining companies, because then when we're looking at our innovations that we have, where do they fall, and who do we really speak with? So that's I'd say one of the major distinguishing factors between them. And there are other mining companies where their approach is that they're looking to set the company up in order to receive innovation or to go to the next level of digital transformation. So their priority is more so initiatives they have to put in place, get their team ready to receive the innovation. So that's all part of the conversation, all part of the process, so that we can really help the vendors resonate and understanding who the key stakeholders are at those companies.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, again, look, most of our mining company members are global companies, right? And obviously, because they're global, they have operations in other countries, and we want to see some of our technologies from Canada go to those other countries. So, Alain, you and I talk about soft landing quite a bit. Could you just tell the audience, like, what do we mean by soft landing, and what do we mean by global outreach exactly, so that they can understand maybe how to tap into that resource?
Thank you. Soft landing. It is to find the plan, your export plan or your international development commercialization plan that makes the most sense, that is connected to the right people, in the right hands, with the right resources. That is, in essence, what is soft landing compared to hard landing or being ripped off or whatever. So this is a process. For instance, a few weeks ago in Chile, we met with Codelco, Capestone, BHP, and engineering firms. Everyone that we met were involved into technology implementations of some sort. So they were the right people at the right place to talk to the innovators that was part of the delegations. So, and then it's a matter of making your plans and responding to the customers the same way that you mentioned, but at least the bridge is connected to the right company, to the right person. So this is what soft landing is all about.
For that. And what about the global outreach piece?
Global outreach, I said it, it's to build the bridges. We have a number of ecosystem partner. In Chile, it's Corporación Altale. It's similar to MICA. In Peru, it's Hub Minera. And then we have Germany, Austria, South Africa, Kazakhstan, Sweden. So we have a number of places around the world where we are connected with ecosystem innovation, mining innovation ecosystem. So those are the partners of the MICA network. And with them, then we can organize, connect, get informations, the right people, the right hand. So the global outreach is to connect the Canadian network to other ecosystem of innovations to build a global mining innovation network.
Excellent, thank you. And talking about networks, just maybe move over to Kyle now. Kyle, so when a member or a UR, ultimate recipient, comes to talk to you, can you maybe just elaborate what other resources do we sort of recommend to them across Canada that also support innovation? And maybe while you're answering that question, also talk about the network and the platform that we have.
Sure. So the first thing to know, and I think you got a taste of it yesterday with the closing panel, is we have 6 fantastic partners across Canada, all with very different skill sets, but also with a variety of expertise that can support your company, can support your project in a variety of different ways. I'm looking at Paul from SAS Poly. They've got fantastic research. They've also are well connected in the potash industry. We've got Brim that specializes in kind of putting together research. We've got Group MICA, who is good at putting together industrial projects to solve problems on mine sites. So just within the network and the main partners, there's a ton of expertise that you can access. More broadly, the MICA platform as a network, and in large part because of the work that Lorelei and Alain and you have done, Chamurai, it's a network of networks, it's a network of relationships that you can leverage so that we can open the right door for you, so we can put you in front of the right opportunity. We also offer different training programs throughout the year, so if you're subscribed to the newsletter, this is my other pitch to the newsletter, please subscribe to it. It's the best way for us to actually make sure that you're getting the information that you need, because we like to fill it with not just things that are happening within MICA, but also with things happening more broadly that you should be aware of. There have been several international delegation opportunities that have come through the newsletter. There have been other funding opportunities that we often promote. If a company has a good news story, we encourage them to share it so that we can share it with the network. Because ultimately, as a platform, we're also here to support the promotion of your solution. We're here to support you in developing a bit of a brand. It's also hard to get the eye of a mining operator if they don't recognize your brand or understand that you're there as a solution in the first place. And we're lucky enough that we have a pretty significant following on LinkedIn between both MICA and SMEs accounts, and then that gets amplified even more by our main partners who also have their own networks. So they can get a lot of eyeballs on your solutions pretty quick if you want to leverage our platform that way. And I should mention as well that the newsletter that we do put out goes out to about a subscription list of over 7,000 people. So it is, again, another great opportunity for you to, if you have a good news story or something you want to share, you have an event or an activity that's happening, leverage the network that way, okay? And I would encourage you to reach out when you have those opportunities.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Mining companies have problems. Well, every company's got problems. In fact, we all have problems. But one of the things that we want to do is we want to flush out the problems that the mining companies have so that we can bring these problems to you, our network, and say, hey, network, here's a problem that has been identified by a certain mining company. And sometimes, you know what, we've offered mining companies an opportunity to white label their problem, which means that we've said to them, tell us your problem. We won't say it's your problem, but we'll find a solution for the problem, okay? So Lorelei, we've done about 5 different challenge solution requests. Can you just give the audience a flavor of what some of those challenge requests have been, and also maybe give an indication of what we expect to do in the future in terms of running that challenge solution initiative?
Yeah, so we've received some interesting challenges, and what I think is a key piece when we do challenges is asking the other MICA mining members, do you want to join on this problem? Is this also a challenge for you? So again, we're looking at what are the market needs, we're trying to get a broad capture of the solutions, and then that also helps with looking at the scalability. So when you see one mining company sometimes in the challenge and how we have it outlined, you look at what is the opportunity to scale. In some cases, it's a few sites that want to really demonstrate that this is a challenge, not just for one mining company, but several others. So we focused on, say, more of the operational piece of challenges we've done in the whole cleaning solutions with Valley. That was also a challenge for Agnico Eagle and Glencore integrated nickel operations in Sudbury. And we have Valley, Valley has been working towards to move operators away from seismic hazards. So with their roadmap, what they're working on, they're giving us challenges to help them really, really get there. So there are key tasks that either need to be automated or mitigated to keep workers safe. So that's what we've been working on with them. With Nutrien, we have Chantal here today. She's given us a challenge as well on dryer exhaust for the Nutrien operations in Saskatoon. And with Glencore, they're focusing on the mining hoist challenge that they have, which again is not just a challenge for them, but it was for almost all of the members, in which we have Nutrien participating in evaluating those solutions, and also Valley-based metals as well. So those are just some of the challenges that we've been working on. In terms of the future, we want to really help them progress with their roadmaps and just understanding where are we going, and always look at how can we help to push that market need out to industry.
If I may just add, in the last few months, we also shared through the network call for proposal from Peru, Chile, Sweden, France, Germany, because Canada has some agreements with other countries, and sometimes through those agreements, they ask for solutions. So we also are recipients of call for proposal from around the world, not only directly from mining companies. So this is the value of the network.
Excellent, thank you for that. And Alain, maybe over to you is, one of our strategies is to connect our SMEs from Canada with SMEs from other countries, so that there can be an easier pathway to enter into the mining industries that are in foreign jurisdictions. So Alain, we do talk about business-to-business events. Can you just elaborate on what MICA does in those business-to-business meetings?
Basically is, innovation is not a plug and plug-and-play things that a vendor can sell to a user becoming client. It's innovation, it's expertise, it's know-how. So, and going to other country with innovations, you need to have a partner that knows your trade, your business, your expertise. So the business to business is to find that counterparts that will be the key to open the door to the market. Now, it has to be the right hands with the right possibilities, and then you have to agree on how this will work. So the business to business is basically to find your key to entry in the market.
Over to Kyle. Kyle, over the last 3 calls for proposals, we've observed that some of the companies we're funding have, attracted follow-on funding. Can you just maybe talk about the follow-on funding piece and just talk about what have you observed is happening in the network when it comes to that?
So I think the first thing is, getting, having received some MICA funding in the non-dilutive kind obviously makes it, I think, sometimes easier for either another funding body from either be provincial or federal kind of to tag on and also fund the project. It de-risks it that way. And then also for the private sector, private investment, again, if you're able to say, we've de-risked this technology, we have a project that's with MICA, we also have a project partner, we're putting our own dollars in, and this is how we're going to scale it up. We're looking to raise dollars now. It goes a long way in just, I think, building some credibility within the company that you're working on a solution that, as we mentioned with how the IEG operates, that the industry has validated that you're working on something that they see as a problem, I think goes a long way. And as MICA members, as ultimate recipients potentially, I would encourage you to kind of use that as part of your narrative when you're talking to these companies. Our project was approved because a certain number of industry experts through the MICA program put up their hand and said, actually, what we're working on is validated. It's validated by 20 of these experts. So I think it does play a role in helping companies raise additional capital to support, their growth and business goals. And I think it's important. And of course, we're federally funded and they want us to report on that too. So it's also good for us to know what that is and what it looks like. And I think just to continue on, I always like to ask the question of, well, where did you find that additional funding from? Whether it's a STDC or it's another provincial funding program that we might not know about, because that gives us the opportunity to also say, well, there's another 6 companies that we work with in British Columbia. They should also be aware of what this opportunity is. We didn't realize this funding program existed in Quebec. We can send a couple more companies that way. So again, we're always kind of constantly thinking about, or at least I am thinking about, how can we support you guys getting connected to the right resources at the right time to grow and scale your businesses. And I think the follow-on investment piece demonstrates that what we're doing is working.
Excellent, thank you. Lorelei, over to you. One of the things that we've observed from mining companies that they do want to know what the vendors have for solutions. But the thing is, they also want to know certain information about a vendor. So, Lorelei, can you maybe elaborate on when we talk about vendor validation, right? What do we mean? And what has been your experience with trying to bring the vendor information to the mining companies?
Yeah, so I would say that is an ongoing process. They're always working on refining, because again, we're trying to really standardize that piece. I think we are at the point where it is really well standardized. But what's interesting on the mining company side is that they're also looking at what is the technology acquisition process now, and there's changes being made to that. We have AI, so they're looking at not only understanding how they can evaluate vendors more effectively, but the way that they actually do that. How can they do that better? So we've come up with a set of questions just as the initial piece to introduce the vendors to the mining companies. One of the main questions is, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a pilot, us to be a pilot partner? Are you looking for a sandbox to play in to test something? Is it to do with your product development roadmap? What do you really need from us? And that will also really help them understand who at the company they can also bring you to. So We do have our platform as well that I just want to mention. Maybe Kyle can go into a little bit more, but we're seeing more of an uptake on that from the mining company side. If you have a central repository of these technologies that have been de-risked and prioritized, how can we access that better? So for the vendors, making sure your profile is filled out on the platform is very key, particularly to IAM Gold. They have an initiative where looking to build an in-house digital library and also look at what is their data centralization strategy for vendors. So we meet vendors at conferences and through different means and avenues, and how do we really look at centralizing that data? And again, what does the technology acquisition process look like now? And we want to play our role in really helping them to accelerate that front-end evaluation piece. So I think there'll be more to come just in general from the platform that we do have. It's an existing infrastructure that we've built. We have the set of questions for the mining companies want to see. Part of that is also what's your marketing positioning statement, right? So in 1 to 2 sentences, really, who are you? What stakeholders is your solution for? And what is your differentiator? If you can have a quantification aspect in there, even better. So just a quick overview there. But I think it's also just really interesting how the mining companies are rethinking and strategizing how do we leverage the digital tools out there and AI to really optimize looking at the solutions out there and keeping track of who do we speak to now, which vendors need to be matured that we keep track of and then come back to in 6 and 9 months.
Thank you, Lorelei. Over to Alain. I don't know if you folks know this, but Alain speaks 5 languages. I think in English he's called a polyglot, I think. Is that what it's called, a polyglot? I think so. And Alain has been to many countries. Alain, how many countries have you been to so far? 100 countries, okay. Wow, that's a lot. But look, because Alain has this global view, right? He has been keeping an eye on where can we access funding for SMEs coming from those global destinations, right? So Alain, can you just elaborate, what are we doing when it comes to Eureka, New Horizon, and what is Eureka, what is New Horizon, what does it mean to this audience?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I'm happy I'm not the one that speaks the most here, for now. So, inside joke. No, the point is, there is international funding, either multilateral, number of countries, or bilaterals, Canada with another country, but it's bureaucratic, it's very cumbersome. The probability to go to the end of the process is not very high, and even though you get to the end, the percentage of success is very low, give or take 20% to 30% in the best cases. So for an SME to go through that process, cost, risk, results, it's very low. Unless we can build bridges that fast track and reduce the obstacles to get to the end, and with a better proposals, then increase the probability of getting the funds. So that's basically what we are trying to build. In the case of Chile, the last few weeks we were there, we also make sure to have the IRAP program personnel responsible for Chile, Andrew Botter, because IRAP is responsible for Eureka funds from Canada, and funding is up to $500,000 for joint innovation project with Canada and a member of Eureka, which Chile was a member of Eureka, which is about 50 countries, mostly European. And Corfo, which is the financial arm in Chile, is the one managing the Eureka fund. So while we were there to meet key counterparts to enter the market with our innovations, on the secondary aspect to it was also to identify joint innovation project with the right people around the table from Canada and Chile to fund and to support the funding if there's joint innovations ideas that raise from us being in Chile. And as a matter of fact, Chile is in Vancouver next week, again, to find counterparts for Eureka funds. So Corfo is there with a small delegation, and I'll be there to support them in order to have this network built to fast track who can work together to access those funds from Eureka. And guess what? South Africa is also a member of Eureka, and South Korea and Japan. So there's a number of countries beside the European countries. But we need to build those bridges, and this is what we're doing, because in South Africa, we are partnering with CSR, that is under the Ministry of DSR that manage Eureka for South Africa. And it's the same thing in those countries, that we are building the nets so that we can access the right partners. And in most cases, university departments, they, in Canada or around the world, they're accustomed to deal with those fundings. The problem or the challenge, I mean, the best for them is that their professor, their departments, their funding is assured. If they have 1 out of 4 success, it's good for them. It's not the same thing for a business. You know, 1 out of 4, it's you're losing your shirt. So, but those universities, whether it's in Germany, Austria, South Africa, so they are partners in our network. So depending on who is part of a joint innovation project, we can incorporate that university to do the bureaucratic piece, but that they are better than us to do because they know how to do it. They've been doing it a lot. So how to write things, how to respond to this and that, how to cross the T's and the dots on the I. So this is what we're trying to build. Now, Eureka is one fund. Then Horizon Europe is 95 billion euro until 97. And their regular call for proposals. So whenever they are called for proposal within the mining sectors, whether it's electrification, ESGs or the likes, then we'll make sure to send that out in the network. And then there's, like I mentioned earlier, there's the bilaterals that we received information and we send out to the network. But ultimately, what we're trying to build with our global partner, it's to build that bridge, that fast track, that we can increase the probability to go to the end of the process and increase the probability to get the money.
Gotcha. Thank you. That was the longest answer, by the way. Thank you, Alain. Love you lots. So we've got time for one question. One question. So who wants to ask that one question? Go ahead, David. Maybe just grab a mic so we can capture your voice.
In Spanish, please.
Hi, my name is David Hayes. I own a technology company I'll talk about later today. So great panel, awesome, super important information, especially the funding angle. I wanted to have a comment and then a question. So the comment is when organizations like MICA give the stamp of approval to companies, it's a huge piece in the due diligence for mining companies to say we trust this company. So that's huge, that's massive, and that has to be stated absolutely. So that's really cool. Question is, how can MICA help SMEs or innovation companies prepare for the legal side of the contractual work? Because everybody talks about innovation, that's great. So from my experience, we've burned about $100,000 in legal fees in order to penetrate with the largest companies in the world successfully. It's a good thing. But those legal fees are real, and you have to use top-tier law firms or else you get swallowed. A good example is if you're an innovation company, IP clauses are extremely important, and you don't want to finish a project, and then the owner says, thank you very much, that's all of ours now. That's a really, really important clause to sort through. Now, that typically takes 8 or 9 revisions between legal teams. So my question is, how can MICA help innovation companies either standardize those clauses, prepare for those legal discussions? Because I think there's a lot of replication amongst law firms that are billing all of our companies for the same work. Thanks.
We're going to take that.
So, very interesting comment, and I'm going to be honest. It's honestly not something that we've thought about or has really come to our attention previously. But knowing that could be an issue or is an issue, I think what we could do as the MICA network is develop a training program around it, so that at the very least as an SME, you have an understanding of what you're getting yourself into when you're going to have those conversations, and we can work to find service providers to deliver that kind of training. So I think that's great. I'm going to add it to my calendar of events, probably for later next year. And I think something else that other networks have done that we haven't got there yet, again, we're only like 2.5 years into this thing, so we're still maturing as an organization, as a network too. So it's great that you can bring these things up, because I think it is important to technology adoption. But the idea that we might also have a group of preferred service providers, right? So that if you are looking for a legal firm, Mike is able to say, well, here are the 3 that we've had success with, or companies that we've worked with have had.
And
also
they're cheap.
Yeah, well, or maybe maybe there's just some way to subsidize it somewhere in there as a eligible cost with a project. So again, not something that has come up in a lot of our conversations, but I can tell you now we will include it moving forward. And again, so we're open to this feedback, folks. So if you have ideas as well for how we can improve the network, additional services or training opportunities that you'd also like to see come through the network, please let us know, because we are looking to build out that training program, build out our calendar, and ultimately at the end of the day, make sure that we're serving you in the best way that we can.
Exactly. And just want to plug something in there. One of our members has asked us to form a member advisory committee. And I'm looking over there at a potential member of the advisory committee. David, maybe you can join that advisory committee. Lorelai, do you want to say a few words before we wrap up?
Very quick. I think that's a larger discussion. So there was a pilot project involved in looking at implementing a autonomous pilot. And that's a really great question. There's some companies where they use standard templates. That in itself is a whole process, and if you're not aware of it, it can be challenging. Difference between negotiating with a pilot and becoming a commercial vendor, if we can help to really pull key information of how to help you, what to look out for, and especially what are you responsible for and what are you not responsible for. If there are delays, that has to be a very clear line in the sand. So just a quick comment there, but I think there's some things we can help to work on. I know we're out of time, but just really, really good question.
What a time, Alain.
And also there might be some softwares with some limited, although helpful templates. Business in a box and the likes. So they're not covering 100%, but that they might give you a base in some areas. So to start with.
Thank you. All right, so I thank the panelists, Kyle, Alain, and Lorelai. What I'm going to do now is, as we transition, you can go now, as we transition to the next panel, and you can clap for this, folks, please. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.